Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 14 of the Yellow Card Podcast with me, Chris Jones, and Andrew Fasciano. Chris, I believe you have something to talk about today.
Yeah, no, we're just going to dive right into it this week. We're just going to talk Champions League real quick. Go over the records from last week. Diego, the only one with the best record. No positive records last week. Diego finishes the week 7-9, 47-35 total. Both Andrew and I went 6-10. I am now have the same record as Diego again at 47-35. Andrew has an 18-14 record through his first 2 weeks with us. So, Andrew, we're going to kick it off with you real quick. We're basically just going to go into who you like this week because it's the last match day. You know, we have a bunch of stuff that we can talk about, but we're going to just dive right into it. So, I'm just going to have you go down the list and give me who you have for this week, and I'm just going to write it down and keep track of it.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll get started on Tuesday, and starting with Group E, we have Chelsea and Krasnodar. I like Chelsea in that game 3-1. I think they're playing really exciting right now as a team, both in the league and in the Champions League. And then the other game in that group is Rennes at home against Sevilla. I think Sevilla will win that game. Rennes have not been good in the Champions League this year, so I like Sevilla 2-1. In Group F, this is a very interesting one in terms of three teams are still in contention to qualify for the round of 16. So I like Lazio to beat Club Brugge 2-1 and secure their place in the next round. And then even without Erling Haaland, I think Dortmund is the better team coming up against Zenit, and I think they'll win that game 3-1. And I like Gio Reyna to score a goal in that game. Group G, perhaps the headline matchup of the week, Barcelona against Juventus. I'm picking Barcelona to win that game 1-0. As much as I dislike Ronald Koeman, I think Juventus have been struggling a little bit more in the Champions League than Barcelona have. And then the other group in that game is between the two teams on 1 point each, Dynamo Kiev and Ferencvaros. And I think Dynamo Kiev is just the better team, and they'll win that 2-0. The last group that plays on Tuesday is Group H. Probably the most interesting group left, either that or Group B. PSG, I think, will beat Istanbul 3-0. They were really good last week against Man United, and I expect more of the same. And then I think the other game, Leipzig and Man United, the winner basically gets a spot in the round of 16, so it's a huge matchup. Last time out, Man United won that matchup 5-0. I think Leipzig is better than that scoreline, but I like United to win 2-1. Bruno Fernandes has put them on his back recently, and I think he'll do that again. And then moving on to Wednesday, I think Bayern will beat Lokomotiv 2-0. And then I like Atletico Madrid to beat Salzburg 1-0. Atletico has been on a crazy run the past 5 or 6 games of hardly conceding any goals, so I wouldn't expect that to change. Then Group B, this is a crazy group. I like Inter Milan to beat Shakhtar 2-0, and because I like Real Madrid to beat Gladbach, I actually like Inter to sneak into the round of 16, although they're currently last in the group. If they win, they'll be on 8 points, tying Gladbach, and then they'll win the head-to-head goal differential tiebreaker and move on. Group C, I like Man City over Marseille 3-0, and I like Porto to beat Olympiacos in a close one 2-1. And then Group D, I was a little disappointed by Atalanta last time out. I think we all picked them to win, and they ended up tying. And I think Ajax will beat them 3-2. And then Liverpool, I think, will beat Midland despite being the road team. I'm picking them to win 1-0 in that game.
All right, so real quick before I move on to mine, you said you took Man City over Marseille 3-0?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what was your score on the Madrid and Porto game? It's the only thing I missed.
The Porto game, I picked Porto 2-1 against Olympiacos.
And what was Real Madrid?
Real Madrid, I picked them to win 2-1 as well against Gladbach.
Okay. So I'll dive into mine real quick, and then we'll let Diego go. So I'm going to go a little bit different order here. So Zenit and Dortmund, I'm taking Dortmund 2-1. Like Andrew said, even without Haaland, I think this team is still very good. Lazio and Club Brugge. Brugge needs a win in order to advance. I think there's going to be a 1-1 draw here. Juventus and Barcelona. I'm taking Barcelona. I'm taking Juventus in this one 2-1. I think Cristiano Ronaldo being in the lineup this time and the way that game played out last time, I think Juventus circled this on the calendar and they're going to be ready for this. Chelsea and Krasnodar. I don't think Chelsea's putting their best team out. Doesn't matter. They're already clinched to go to the round of 16. I'm taking Chelsea 3-0 in this one. RB Leipzig and Man United. I think if they keep the same formation, Man United speaking, you put Donny van de Beek instead of at the cam at the center defensive mid, and then you put Bruno Fernandes in at the cam from the formation that they had the last time they played. I think they win this game again. I'm going 2-1 Man United there. Dynamo Kiev and Fenerbahce. I'm taking Dynamo 2-0 in this one. I think they're just a much better team than Fenerbahce. PSG in Istanbul, Başakşehir. PSG needs to win in order to move on. I think they will. I'll take PSG 2-0. Rennes and Sevilla. I will take Sevilla 2-1 in this one. Rennes is good, not great in that. Wednesday slated games. I'll take Liverpool over Midland 3-0 in that one. I just think Liverpool, Diego Jota and company. If they are healthy, they're going to be very solid moving forward. Ajax and Atalanta. I'm actually taking Atalanta 2-1. I think they bounce back this week against Ajax. Bayern and Lokomotiv Moscow. I think Bayern's still a better team. I know they're not going to put out their best team because they're making sure everybody's healthy for their round of 16 match against whoever they play. I'll take Bayern still 3-1. Gladbach and Real Madrid. I'm taking Gladbach 2-1. They beat Real Madrid last time. I know Real Madrid's going to be fired up. They're going to want to win here, but I just don't see it happening. RB Salzburg and Atletico Madrid. I'm taking Atletico 2-1. Like Andrew said, Atletico's been playing very well as of late. Jan Oblak in the back end, you can't go against them. Man City and Marseille. I'm agreeing with Andrew. I'm taking 3-0 Man City, who, again, another one, they're not going to put out their best team, but I think they're just all around better than Marseille. Porto and Olympiacos. I'm taking Porto 2-0 here. Again, the same thing for most teams that aren't going to put out their best guys. I just don't like Olympiacos in this matchup. And then the last matchup, Inter Milan versus Shakhtar Donetsk. I'm actually taking Shakhtar Donetsk to win 2-1 to have them move on with Gladbach to move on to the group of 16.
All right.
Diego.
All right. So I'm basically going to go with the same order as Chris went. It's just a lot easier, honestly. The Dortmund versus Zenit game, I'm going to go 2-0 Dortmund. Just think Dortmund's going to overrule that game just by the looks of it. Lazio 1, Braga 0. I think it's going to be a close game. Barca and Juventus, both great teams, but I think it's going to go 2-2, unfortunately. Chelsea 3 over Krasnodar 0. I'm going with Leipzig and Manchester United, and then a 3-1 for Manchester United. I think if actually the suspension of Fred for Solskjaer came actually as a blessing in disguise for Solskjaer. So 3-1 for Manchester there. I'm going 2-0 for Dynamo versus Ferencvaros. 2-2 actually for PSG in Istanbul. I think Istanbul is going to be that pest in PSG's way. So 2-2. Rennes and Sevilla. I think Sevilla ends 2-0. Liverpool and Midtjylland. Obviously Liverpool 3-0. I couldn't pick them away even if I wanted to. Ajax and Atalanta. I'm disappointed in Atalanta, honestly. I do think Ajax wins 2-1. Bayern and Lokomotiv. I'm going with Bayern 3-1. Real Madrid and Mönchengladbach. I'm actually going with Gladbach 2-1 against Real. I think their issues continue to pursue them. And that could be the day where Zinedine Zidane gets sacked, as I mentioned in my article previously. Atletico Madrid and RB Salzburg. I think Atletico continues their streak. They win 2-0 on this one. Manchester City and Marseille. I'm going Manchester City 2-1. I don't think City comes out with their hot lineup, but, it's Manchester City. Inter Milan and Shakhtar. I'm going with Inter 2-1. And Olympiacos and Porto. I'm actually going to go with Porto 2-0 against Olympiacos.
Real quick before we move out of the Champions League, can you
Sure.
tell me your Atletico score again?
Atletico 2, Salzburg 0.
Okay. This is the last match day of the Champions League. Then we have to wait for the round of 16 draw to commence, and then we can talk more about the Champions League after that.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, the big thing we want to talk about this week is the MLS conference finals are today.
As you guys couldn't see.
The New England Revolution are on the road at the Columbus Crew. They're the Eastern Conference matchup. And for the West, it is Seattle hosting Minnesota United as this very moment. So real quick, we're just going to dive in. Start with Andrew. Andrew, give me your prediction for – honestly, let's start with the Western Conference. Let's start with Seattle versus Minnesota. What do you think is going to happen there? Really quick.
Yeah, this is a tough game for me. Minnesota has been on a tear. They won both of their playoff games 3-0, which is impressive. I think on paper, Seattle may just be the best offensive team left in the competition. They scored 44 goals in the regular season, which is more than anyone else here. I think this is a game that could go into extra time. I think both of these conference finals are going to be close, but especially this one, I think Minnesota has the offense to go toe-to-toe with Seattle, but I'm not sure they have the defense to do so. So I think I like Seattle in this game. I think they'll win 2-1 in extra time.
Ooh. Deal, give me yours real quick on Seattle, Minnesota.
Oh, man, I can't hate on Seattle as much as I want to. But Minnesota is also a tough matchup too. I actually think this one goes to overtime. I think full time goes 1-1, but it goes to penalties, and that's where Seattle does their dangerous moves and kills Minnesota's streak.
I think it's going to be a very high scoring affair. Unfortunately, I think we're going to get 3-2 Seattle in this one.
Wow.
Like Andrew said, I don't think Minnesota has the offense to keep up with them. I don't think they have the defense. No. I think Seattle puts in one more than Minnesota. All right, let's talk the other conference final. Columbus and New England. Let's start with the Revs guy, Andrew.
Yeah, this is the one we're all excited for. I think probably the biggest game the Revolution have played since 2014 when they were last here. It's going to be an interesting matchup. I would expect New England to set up similarly to how they did last week against Orlando. Bruce Arena made some comments this week that suggest that he's not going to change the lineup, and I would expect them to take a similar sort of defense-first counter-attacking approach that worked so well for them last week. For me, the most interesting matchup in this game is going to be along the Revolution's right-hand side. Columbus has a player who usually plays at left wing, Pedro Santos. He's been their most dangerous attacking player this season, scoring 8 goals and adding 7 assists too. One of the things that stuck out to me last week was just how effective Tajon Buchanan was at getting forward from the right back position to play a key role in the counterattacking offense of the Revolution. The presence of Santo might compromise that a little bit, which is why I'm curious to see how that matchup works out. Buchanan's going to have to be careful not to go too far forward and get caught out and let Santos in behind, because he will make the Revolution pay if he has that opportunity. I would expect either Matt Polster or Scott Caldwell, one of the defensive midfielders, to sort of drift over onto that side and provide a little extra support, especially if Buchanan wants to get forward. But overall, I think this is going to be a great offensive game. I think both teams have solid defenses, but I think their offenses are the main talking points. The Revolution, obviously, with Heel, Bo, and Buxa, and Columbus has a pretty scary group of 3, too, in their own right, with Giassi Zardes, Pedro Santos, and Lucas Zelarayan. I actually am going to go with the same score that Chris picked for the Western Conference Final. I like New England to advance in this one, 3-2.
Now, Diego, really quick before I let you give your prediction on this. Columbus is going to most likely be without their starting goaltender again. They were without him last week against Nashville, and they went into extra time. It was 0-0, and then it went to extra time, and Columbus scored 2 goals in extra time and won 2-0 against Nashville.
Yeah.
So, yep. So, Diego, give me your take really quick.
Personally, I think if Scott Caldwell is to start and give that aid to Buchanan, as Andrew was speaking, I think Caldwell, being the streaky, fast guy that he tends to be, can actually be a tamper in the way for Pedro Santos, because he does not do well against fast people that are also physical. He's not very good in the physical game. He loses his mind, much like Nani did last week. So I actually think that the defense of the Revolution continuing to be that stingy to teams that actually have a good offense is going to be a big payback for the Revolution. And I actually think this game ends 2-1. But listen, last night I was coming back home and we drove over the Zakim Bridge, and it was lit up in Revolution colors. And I saw it on Twitter, and so I said, I drove over it and it looks beautiful. Tell me why that beautiful moment when the New England Revolution likes your tweet. I just woke up today, like, literally, like if I was a 16-year-old guy going on my first date. I am in love with that tweet.
Flustered. He is
I am
flustered.
in love with that tweet.
But that doesn't mean that they're going to win. I don't know what does. It's a sign
exactly.
right there.
Exactly. But real quick, Chris, wrap it up, boy.
So I just think, dude, I don't know. It's just this is one of the teams that, you sit there and you look at it and you're like, all right, is this finally going to be the one where we go over the hump? Because the big thing for me is that the last time they were in the conference final was what year?
2014.
2014, right? They won that conference final, right?
Yeah, I
They
think
did,
so.
yeah.
So, I think personally, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure the Revolution are undefeated in conference finals.
I think they've won 5 of their 7 conference finals that they've been in.
I think they've been 5-7 too. Yeah.
So, okay.
So they have a good record in conference finals.
Exactly. So this is why I'm taking New England today. I think 2-1 Revolution.
That was my score. 2-1.
I stopped myself from saying 1-0. 2-1. 2-1. I'm gonna say 2-1 Revolution. So
right.
Make sure to go watch that game today, as we will hope that Bruce Arena and company can give us something to watch.
Seriously though,
championship wise.
But speaking of something to watch though, like we've actually had a really good weekend on Premier League matches. Like yesterday and even today has been a really good day for the Premier League. So, Chris, talk to me. I know you're betting big on somebody that we wouldn't expect you to. Well, could and maybe wouldn't, but I know you've been in big time. What are your thoughts, dude?
So right now I'm 4-2 through the weekend of Premier League action, money wise. I
5-1. So,
excuse me, sir. I took. Jeez, right? What a dink. I took. So I took Everton over Burnley. That didn't pan out in my favor, as you know. I pick Everton for my co-host down the bottom over here. I'll respect. I took the over in the Manchester City Fulham game, which was 3.5. Manchester City scored 2 goals alone. That didn't hit. I took Manchester United yesterday, not because Diego likes them, but because I thought they would beat West Ham. And then I took Chelsea -1, and they won by 2 goals against Leeds. And then today I took Crystal Palace over West Brom. They killed West Brom 5-1 today. Then I had Leicester City over Sheffield, and Leicester just pulled a squeaker out against against Sheffield. And left today I have Arsenal, who's currently down 1-0 to Tottenham. as Son scored a goal in the 13th minute. And I have the over in the Liverpool and the Wolves game, which is 2.5, and I'm kind of regretting it right now because I think it's going to be like a 1-1 draw.
All right.
But sticking out for me this weekend, Everton. It's just I don't know what's going on. This is not the same team that Diego and I hyped at the beginning of the season for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know what they need to do differently. But again, yesterday against Burnley, they give up a goal in the 3rd minute. Calvert-Lewin scores right before the half's over, and then the second half they couldn't do anything either side. Man City and
I can tell that Andrew's dying to talk. He's holding, he's clenching those lips more than anything else.
Man City and Fulham. Man City put out the goon squad. They did what they needed to do. They got the win for me there. Chelsea and Leeds. Chelsea's just one of the best teams in Europe at the moment.
That was
This team is just so talented. No matter who they put out there, it's just a talented bunch. And Palace looked good today against West Brom. Leicester against Sheffield. And then Man United looked all right in the first half. And then the second half is just like a flip one off. I wish that they would just start Donny van de Beek and they would start Bruno Fernandes at the same time. That's all I want. One time.
Yep, I agree.
And also Diego's boy, Dean Henderson, got to play yesterday.
And look how good he did. Dude was
That's West
solid.
Ham, dude. Come on.
Against Declan Rice.
Declan Rice plays center defensive mid, dude. It doesn't mean anything.
But he's still fucking a major threat anyways.
Is there a reason why Bruno Fernandes didn't start in that game, Diego? Do you know?
Honestly, I was going off on Twitter. I was going off on Twitter about that when I said no.
I can tell you. Because Ole is trying to save as much as possible for that Champions League push. And they need him at 100% form.
But same could be said about Donny van de Beek. Same could be said about Scotty McTominay.
Yeah, but he doesn't start Donny van de Beek because he hates him for whatever reason.
Yeah, even though he was the reason that Donny van de Beek came to Manchester United because Ollie went after him and convinced him. It's just so weird. It's such a weird mechanic.
The thing about Man United that I've been seeing in the news recently is that they're saving a little money to go for a prolific striker in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
One that we talked about earlier.
Haaland.
Erling Haaland.
Mm-hmm.
If he ever comes to Manchester United, they're going right back up to the top. Until then, they're gonna sit in this purgatory where they can't go higher than 3 and they won't go lower than like 7. They're gonna sit in this purgatory until they make like a big splash. But or they finally get rid of Paul Pogba.
I asked the following though. We know that Manchester United started the season in a terrible way. They were basically bottom of the table. But now all of a sudden, the club is really meshing up. So do you ask yourselves, is Manchester United back on its way of winning, of their ways of winning basically everything? Or is there more work to be done? Or do you finally just trust the manager to do his job? Because for example, for me, I know I've been inconsistent about Ollie. One day I like him, one day I fucking hate him. But is it just Ollie himself, as I said, or is it also the mechanical work that Woodward's doing himself? When, like for example, this past offseason when he was just so freaking centrically focused on Jadon Sancho, and at last minute finally made moves because Ollie basically dictated that, or is it further than that? Is it ownership? So
Diego's like a girlfriend who can't figure out what she wants to eat for food when it comes to all honest. It's just bad because you're so inconsistent. Like it's like you're legitimately on like your time and you're just like I don't know.
But I think it's honestly the pain that all of us United fans.
Oh yeah, no. I'm so glad I'm not a Man United fan for this specific reason right now.
Because one day
I'm cooling over in Italy with my squad. And I'm cooling over England with my other squad. So we're good. We're straight. We're fine. Trust me.
I know.
What
but,
I've
but like,
seen from Man United. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no. Go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
So the way I see it is that Man United with Bruno Fernandes and Man United without Bruno Fernandes are two completely different teams.
Oh yeah.
Oh, 100% agreed.
I haven't seen enough from the supporting cast to really convince me that they're legitimately back at this point. I think Bruno Fernandes is a great player and he's going to continue to do well and help them finish respectively. But I think until they can sort out the rest of the team, I don't think it's enough for them to be challenging for titles with this current squad. And then going back to your question about whether or not that's on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or not, I mean, it seems like every week when we talk, there's criticism about his formations and who he has in the starting lineup and who he leaves out. So I don't think that helps either. You know, I would say the same thing about Everton. If you're changing your formation every week and not playing players with enough regularity to let them settle in and feel comfortable, then I don't think that's going to help. It's just adding another obstacle for yourselves, I think.
Right.
I think the next two games are going to show what Manchester United team we're going to see the rest of the season.
Sure.
Their Champions League group stage finale against Leipzig, and then this coming Saturday they play Man City at home. By the way, that's going to be their tell sign of where this team's going this year. And to agree with Andrew's point, besides Bruno Fernandes, the only other one I would give credit to is Marcus Rashford. Everybody else on that team has underperformed in my estimate.
So that's where my next comment comes into as well. Because sure, we have leadership problems in the top office, but we also have leadership problems when it comes to on the field as well. Because right now our captain is Harry Maguire. And the dude is the least vocal of them all. The actual two very vocal people that let their actions be the ones to talk, but also their mouth also does the talking, is Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. Them two have put this team on their back and have carried it all the way through, including Champions League, including Premier League. So
yeah,
I mean that's enough for Manchester United. I'm enough with Manchester United. I do know that Tottenham just scored and they're up 2-0 against Arsenal.
So, Harry Kane, dude. Harry Kane for the golden boot.
Yep.
It's gonna happen.
It could very well happen. I think Mourinho has sparked some very good enthusiasm into Harry Kane that he kind of lacked off last year.
So they're getting to the point where this was the year that they needed to make the big splash to be back where they were before last year, in order to keep Harry Kane. So guys like Son and getting a guy like Gareth Bale and all these talented pieces that they have in Tottenham right now is a big sign to me that they don't want Harry Kane to leave. Mm-hmm. So he wants to play Champions League football. Right now they're positioning themselves to be in the Champions League next year.
Yeah.
If they don't do that, that's when Harry Kane's going to look elsewhere. But until that happens, I think Tottenham's doing exactly what they need to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, Harry Kane has just developed so much and rounded out his game so much that he's such a vital part of that team. Like, if you watch in the game against Manchester City when they beat Man City 2-0, Harry Kane's facilitating in that game was just incredible to watch for someone who has been a striker exclusively to this point in his career. And having, like, at Everton, we have Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who's been a tremendous goal scorer this season. But if your center forward has that ability to bring teammates into the play and pick out a pass and assist on goals, it just adds such another dynamic to your attack. And I think when you combine that with Jose Mourinho, who I don't know if there's another manager in world football right now who knows how to set up a defense like Jose Mourinho does, which was also on display in that masterclass really against Man City. I think those two aspects of Tottenham are really scary when they're put together, and they haven't always been able to put those two things together in the past, but they are right now. And the Premier League better watch out, because I think them and Chelsea are legitimate contenders right now.
Do you know what I think is hysterical is how good that they are in the Champions League. If you look at how they've played in the Europa League, they're 3-1-1, but they haven't looked like as good as they've looked in the Champions League, which to me I just think is outrageous. It's just every time I look at the Europa League, I just feel like Tottenham's underperforming. Like they played Lask and they had a 3-3 draw with them. So for me, it's just I think their main focus right now is they're not even focused on what they need to do. Their main focus is we're doing what we have to do to make the Champions League next year.
That's what I'm saying, because I was going to say every time that Mourinho has coached teams and that they have been in the Europa League, he pays little to almost no attention to it. Look at Manchester United when he was coaching them in the Europa League. He wasn't focused on that. He was solely focused on the English Premier League because it's the bigger title. You know, so I think this is their focus this year, Premier League. I also think Heung-min Son is on a level basically like James Rodriguez for Everton with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, or like Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford in Manchester United. The guy is such a playmaker, but his speed and consistency and toughness with the ball is just what really makes him like such an overall player. He's just honestly just a phenomenal guy. And with Bergwijn playing on the other end, that just makes it even terrifying for any defensive team facing these guys. If you have a good defensive team, let's say like an RB Leipzig to play Tottenham, then that's a close game because they have a good defense. But if you're putting Tottenham versus, let's say, a West Bromwich, good luck to West Bromwich. They just got burned left and right.
Real quick, the last thing I want to say before we end this topic is I think the big thing for Tottenham moving forward is I think getting a guy like Gareth Bale, even though he hasn't been up to form, it's putting more pressure on guys like Son and guys like Steven Bergwijn to produce week after week, game after game. So I think that's also a big thing to take away on how well Son has played, is because not literally, but he has Gareth Bale. If second he gets to full form, he has Gareth Bale like coming down his neck.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. No, I mean, I think Gareth Bale coming back into Tottenham is more of a moral thing for Tottenham themselves rather than a talent end of things. Because if you look at the youth of those two players, Heung-min Son and Serge Bergwijn, Gareth Bale is there just mainly for motivational purposes, to remind them of who Tottenham is and what their legacy is to become, so that when they're playing and wearing that shirt, they're wearing it with pride. Basically, like, let's say if Cristiano Ronaldo was to come back to Manchester United, that's basically exactly what he would be doing for them. It's not that he'd be a starting player, because right now he's basically at the end of his career. Could he be a starting player? Of course. He's just got a great physical body on himself. But he wouldn't be under a Solskjaer mandate because of his age. He wants younger players. He wants to motivate them as well. But anyways, that does it for episode 14 of the Yellow Card Podcast. Continue to follow us on our socials. We just reached 150 followers. Our goal is to reach 200 to 250 by episode 20. So hopefully we can celebrate all together on that one. But for now, thank you for tuning in, and tune in next Sunday. Thank you, guys.